Treasury Secretary nominee Scott Bessent was standing before Senate like every other nominee that's been called forward to the front of the congregation over the last week or so. And they were grilling him about U.S. spending, how to manage the budget, what his role would be as Treasury Secretary, ties to Trump, so on and so forth, right? They also grilled him about all of the billionaires having influence and cozying up to Trump and everything, and how we manage our budget inside of the United States of America. And I thought that this would be an interesting conversation. So let's take a look.
Senator Grassley, I enjoyed visiting you in your office, and will remind you that when we were talking about the American agriculture, that I may be the first Treasury Secretary nominee in a long time who knows what a section is, 642 acres, and am involved in the farming business. And yes, we do not have a revenue problem in the United States of America. We have a spending problem. That historically, for the past 40 or 50 years, revenues, federal government revenues, have averaged about 17 to 17.5% of GDP. And spending has been slightly over that, leading us to a 3.5% budget deficit, which is manageable because we have roughly 3.8% nominal growth, 1.8% real growth, 2% inflation. Today, as you stated, and to be clear, this is one of the things that got me out from behind my desk and my quiet life in this campaign, was the thought that this spending is out of control. We are spending about 24, 25% of GDP. So as you said, 6.8 to 7% deficit. We have never seen this before when it is not a recession or not a war. And I am concerned because several times the Treasury of the United States has been called upon to save the nation, whether it was the Civil War, the Great Depression, World War II, or the recent COVID epidemic. Treasury, along with full government and Congress, has used its borrowing capacity to save the Union, to save the world, and to save the American people. And what we currently have now, we would be hard-pressed to do same.
So what he's basically saying is that we're acting like we're in a recession. We're acting like we're in a war. They've been marketing to us over the last 4 years that the economy is better than ever, when in reality, we've been propping it up with borrowing that we should not be borrowing from and that we should not be doing. And if the economy is so great, because see, listen, if you're talking about a 2008, then it makes sense for us to borrow money the way that we've been borrowing and spending money. If you're talking about a pandemic, then it makes sense for us to borrow money the way that we've been borrowing money. We shouldn't, in my opinion, even be in a position where we have to borrow money. We should have been operating at a surplus for so long. Listen, forget Trump. Forget Obama. Forget all of these presidents in our lifetime. We've been robbing Peter to pay Paul and propping up this economy and robbing ourselves, so much so that the reason why inflation is the way that it is because it's not even backed by anything other than our belief and the world's belief in it as a reserve currency. We have put ourselves against the wall so much so to where at this point we are operating like we are in a war. Not that we're funding a war, like we're in a war. We spend the same way that consumers have been spending in regular life within our government branches. We have no discipline. We absolutely 100% just continue to rob ourselves and not even robbing ourselves. We're robbing our children and our children's children's future because the way that they manage this budget. And it's crazy because when we proposed an audit, when we said, hey, the Department of Government Efficiency should step in and figure out where all of the waste is going from, do you know that they actually oppose that? That shouldn't even be something that's a bipartisan disagreement. You shouldn't have Republicans or Democrats disagreeing with the idea that we need to go through and do a government audit and figure out where your tax dollars is going. I want to know where my wife is spending my money. I mean, listen, she got free reign to kind of do what she want to do because I know that she got some sense. She got free reign to do what she got to do in order to make some sense. But when I just started seeing some craziness, I'm like, wait a minute. Did you just buy a horse? I do an audit within my own budget. I bring the whole family together. Okay, Les. My daughter will tell you. All right, Les, let me sit you down for a minute. Listen, you've been going crazy. She started laughing. She started giggling. Dad, I just seen some stuff at the mall I just had to have. I just need my drip to be right. All right, Les, but you know, it's a time for everything. It's a time to hustle, and then it's a time to rein it in. All right? Listen, you getting a little crazy now. See, Rita started laughing because she know what it is. It's getting a little crazy now. And Rita says she don't be listening. See, my family is just like the government. I sit them down. They say, oh, okay. All right, Anton. We're going to do things the right way. And Rita and Les, they go right back to doing what they was doing prior to. They wait 2 weeks. They wait 2 weeks and they say, no, we've been really good. Rita told me the other day. Let me tell you what she told me 2 days ago. This is what she said 2 days ago. Because I'm him. I'm Scott. Rita and Les is the government. And now y'all can apply this to your own family. I said the other day, I said, oh, actually, this wasn't even the other day. This was 2 days ago. We was on the plane. So we looking. She says, man, you know, we've been spending these crazy amounts every single month. And so I slowly broke it down to her and I said, okay, cool. So I pulled up the laptop. We sitting up there. Got a long flight. Might as well have this conversation on the plane, right? So then I pull up the accounts. I say, so listen, let me show you how it is that y'all operating. I don't even touch this card. This is between you and your daughter. She goes, that ain't on me. I be spending my own money. I said, Rita, it all come out of the same pot. My pocket though, right? I mean, but if I transfer it to myself, see that they got these little games that they play where they think that if they transfer money into their accounts and then they spend it, that's technically not them spending money on this card, but it's them spending money based off of their own discretion. It's the same thing that Congress does. They rob Peter to pay Paul. Rob Peter to pay Paul. And then this is what they do. Okay, you know what? I do have a spending problem. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to get my life together, right? They wait 2 weeks. They plan together. They wait 2 weeks. And then they start to slowly ramp it back up like the spending bill that we just had over the last couple of weeks. Anyways, let's continue on with the show. This is his exchange with Bernie Sanders about all of the billionaires that's coming together and creating a super team. Check it out.
Personally welcome you and look forward to working with you.
Well, thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to be here. Mr. Besant, thanks very much for being in the office the other day. Mr. Besant, the United States today has more income and wealth inequality.
These guys need to get out of office ASAP. These guys are too old.
Than has ever existed in the history of our country. You got three people on top, Mr. Musk, Mr. Bezos, and Mr. Zuckerberg, who are now worth almost $1 trillion. That is more than half of the bottom of our society, some 170 million people. Three people, more wealth than the bottom, 170 million. We have more concentration of ownership today than we have ever had. We have more concentration of ownership in the media, where a handful of billionaires like Musk, Bezos, Rupert Murdoch increasingly own the media and the information that the American people receive. We have a corrupt campaign finance system in which a small number of billionaires in both political parties make huge contributions into the presidential and congressional campaigns. When you have a small number of multi-billionaires
Shout out to Doug. I'm gonna read
who
those
have
super chats
enormous
shortly.
economic, media, and political power, would you agree with President Biden, who last night stated, and I quote, "An oligarchy is taking shape in America of extreme wealth, power, and influence that threatens our entire democracy, our basic rights, and freedoms," end of quote. That's what President Biden said last night. I agree with him. Do you?
Senator Sanders, I enjoyed our visit.
Talk a little bit closer into the mic.
I enjoyed our visit, and I hope you got my follow-up materials on the discussions, my previous
Thank
writings
you.
on the tariffs and China. And look, the three billionaires who you listed that all made the money themselves. Mr. Musk came to the country as an immigrant.
I understand that, but what I'm asking you is, when you have a
Why they don't never want to let a person talk? Why they don't ever want to let a person talk? Listen, I am not in favor of breaking a system that allows for you to work as hard as you want, as much as you want, and if you add a valuable product that people believe in, you should be able to financially benefit from it. That you can create a company. A lot of people don't remember, but not even Jeff Bezos too, but Elon Musk, for example, if you actually go and read his book, if you study his biography, if you really study Tesla and all of that, he was a part of a group of people that ultimately got rich by creating PayPal, which was ultimately also tied to eBay. They call them the PayPal Mafia because all of them have gone on to do other greater things. He took every dime, every single dime that he had, and he created or poured into Tesla, which Tesla was already a company that was established, but it was just, nothing. It was just like all the rest of these little rinky-dink companies that wasn't profitable. It had created a roadster that wasn't profitable. And he had a vision for creating a new standard of transportation. And he put every single dime that he had. They said that he was couch surfing. He was a multi-millionaire, not billionaire, millionaire couch surfing. When they created the Model 3 and the Model Y, Tesla was literally days away from bankruptcy. His compensation was directly tied to the success of the company. So he wasn't even making no money. He was borrowing every dollar that he could in order to house himself. That is a 100% fact. His compensation was directly tied to the performance and the equity in the company. So he believed in himself and he believed that the company would be successful. So if the company wound up making $1 trillion, then he was just going to be a trillionaire. If the company went broke, then he was just going to go broke. That's just the way that it was. So he took every dime. He could have just been living a rich man's life and been Dan Bilzerian out here in these streets. And he said, you know what? I'm going to pour every dime that I have into this company. Tesla blew up. And here's the key that goes along with it. A whole lot of people got rich. If you were an early investor in Tesla and you took the risk, and that is the beautiful thing about this country, is that if you take the risk, you can lose it all, or you can become a legend. It was so many people that got rich as a result of Tesla. It's so many millionaires and billionaires that got rich off of Microsoft. It's so many people that Amazon made rich. It's so many people that Apple made rich. It's so many people that got rich off of these products. It's a ton of millionaires and billionaires once these companies went public and a stock price shot up. A lot of people. I talk about it as sad as stocks. Listen, you don't have to sit here and complain about it either. You too can join a Patreon, get in a stock club. We have these conversations on a regular basis. I decide that I want to invest 90% of everything that I make back into my businesses, back into stocks, back into everything. Nobody is coming to save me. If all of my properties just go bust, or nobody rent from them, or if my stocks or the stocks that I decided to invest in go to zero, guess what? I lose. I lose. Back to working at whatever, go to the steel mill, go get a regular job. Nobody's going to feel sorry for me. You know what they're going to do? They're going to go to Kroger's and they're going to look at me ringing up them groceries and they're going to be like, look, y'all, look, it's Anton. He over there bagging up groceries. They're going to take some TikToks and some memes of me. They're going to put it on the internet and they're going to say, remember when he was talking stuff? Remember when he was talking stuff? But no, we sleep in the factories. We build our own studios. We put our own money up. We wind up getting all of the money. And then now they want to demonize you for creating jobs, creating revenue, keeping the American dollar from continuing and circulating it, and then also picking the right presidential candidate. It's crazy. How you going to... Listen, these are people that have never had a regular job in their life. Bernie Sanders has been being paid by Elon Musk tax dollars for his entire life. And then they're sitting there. They are the ones that are the beneficiaries of all of these tax dollars. And they're sitting there criticizing you for creating the companies that ultimately people have jobs from. Do you know that Tesla actually is one of the very few companies that offered equity to their employees that were putting together their cars on a factory floor, and some of those employees got rich too? That you could have chose to take compensation through equity into the company, similar like everybody else, or you could have just got a regular paycheck. Most of them took a regular paycheck. Some of them decided that they wanted to get paid in equity, and they got rich as a result of it. So what, you gonna penalize them too?
A handful of people like Musk, who will soon be part of the Trump administration, and others. When you have 3 people owning more wealth than the bottom half of American society, when these people have enormous influence over the media, when they spend huge amounts of money in both political parties to elect candidates. What Biden said last night is we're moving toward an oligarchy. I'm asking you that question. Do you think, forget how they made their money, do you think that when so few people have so much wealth and so much economic and political power, that that is an oligarchic form of society?
Well, I would note that President Biden gave the Presidential Medal of Freedom to 2 people who I think would qualify for his oligarchs. This
is not a condemnation of any one individual. I'm just asking you, would so few people have so much wealth and power?
But
do you think that that is an oligarchic form of society?
Senator, I think it depends on the ability to move up and down the income.
No, that's not really the answer. I mean, even if you had that mobility, no matter who those individuals might be. All right, but let me ask you another question. Right now in America, we have over 22 million workers who are making less than $15 an hour, and nearly 40 million people in our country earning less than $17 an hour. Shamefully, the federal minimum wage, despite the efforts of myself and other people here, have not been raised since 2009 and remains an unbelievable $7.25 an hour. Will you work with those of us who want to raise the federal minimum wage to a living wage to take millions of Americans out of poverty?
Senator, I believe that the minimum wage is more of a statewide and regional issue.
So you don't think we should change?
Correct. Every single state determines their own minimum wage. It's so great when you have intelligent people that don't get emotional, that can answer questions directly. Yo, when the Democrats was being funded and is being funded by George Soros, nobody sat and complained. The minute that you had billionaires all coming together to endorse Donald Trump, now everybody want to get all up in arms.
Is the federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour?
No, sir.
Okay. Mr. Bessent, millions of working class Americans who are struggling to keep their heads above water are paying outrageously high interest rates on their credit cards.
That is a choice. Hey, when do we take personal responsibility for the things that we decide that we want to sign up for? If you get Dave Ramsey exist for free. You can go and get the baby steps from Dave Ramsey. I see people on the internet going off and killing Dave Ramsey and saying that he's out of touch and we don't want to listen to the baby steps anymore. You can go and basically, even though he sells it, you can basically go and Google Dave Ramsey's baby steps and follow it step by step, because Dave Ramsey is not for us, right? Dave Ramsey is for people that's even trying to get up to the starting line. I then go into how you can leverage once you get past the starting line to then get rich and then invest in assets and all of this other type of stuff. So I think that there's room for multiple different people within the finance space that operate ethically to give you information. Dave Ramsey gives you baby steps. Cut up the credit cards, do this, do that. And then y'all fight him and say, no, we don't think that that should happen. No, we want our points. We want our points. Okay, you miss you one time you don't pay off the entirety of your bill, you wipe out any other benefit that came along with any of those points that was coming in the first place. Was it worth it? Was it worth it? Having a credit card and charging up monies is a choice. That is not something that you were made to do. Why do people keep acting like somebody put a gun to their head and say, hey man, get a credit card and charge all of that up? That is your own personal responsibility. When you went to school and you took out these student loans in order to get an African American studies degree, and you took the refund and you went and got some Timberlands, some Jabos, all of that back in the day, guess what? That was a personal choice. You took the money and you did what you wanted to do with it. You didn't even use it for your education, and you didn't pick a good curriculum. Whose fault is that? Is that the American taxpayers' responsibility to now pay off your student loans? This is crazy, bro.
Over half the American people who take out new credit cards are being charged interest rates of over 24%. 24%.
And if you see that, what do you do? When you see that, what do? Do you say, you know what? I'm going to go for it anyway? You have to agree to the interest rate. They put it in these big old black bold letters that they send it to you before you even agree to apply for that card, let alone accept it. And you took it and you say, yep, I'm a winner.
During his campaign, President-elect Trump promised that he was going to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. I happen to think that that is a very good idea, and I will soon be introducing legislation to do just that. Will you, as if you are confirmed, be supportive of what President-elect Trump said and what I want to see happen, and that is to cap credit card interest rates at 10%?
Senator, I think we can both agree that many credit card companies have been bad actors throughout history, and I will get back to you once.
Now, very simple question. Trump said he wants to cap credit card interest rates at 10%. I agree with him. Will you be supportive of what Trump and I would like to do?
When President Trump takes office, and if I am confirmed, I will follow what President Trump wants to do.
Great answer. Anyways, ultimately, I think that it's personal responsibility that needs to be extended. This should not be an issue where we sitting there having a conversation about if people are under duress. Well, guess what? Go file for bankruptcy. Go get a second job. Go take care of your business. Lower your lifestyle. You don't deserve to be driving a new car, let alone a Mercedes. That is reserved for the people that have been fiscally responsible and have taken care of their business. We don't all deserve car. We don't deserve a new car. Sometimes we don't deserve cars at all. Well, what am I going to do if I'm not going to get a car? You know what they got? They got something called a bus. But I'm going to look bad for my friends, and that's why you broke.